What's up, everybody? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I'm Brandon May.
We hope you're all having a great week, and we thank you for joining us. Before we get into our thoughts on some releases from December and early January, let's talk about the Coachella lineup that was just released. It was just released yesterday, and as expected, the headliners are Bad Bunny, Blackpink, and Frank Ocean. There's a lot of great EDM on the lineup, as well as some strong Latin and K-pop artists. But in my opinion, overall, this is one of the weaker lineups in recent history. A C plus at best, probably. And I'm saying this as somebody who does not go, so take that for what it's worth. But as someone who doesn't go, I usually get a little bit of FOMO whenever the lineup drops, and that just did not happen this year. What was your reaction to seeing it?
Well, as somebody who has gone, I think 7 times,
Yeah.
you and I have been at Coachella together, bro. Haven't we?
No, but I haven't been in like 10 years. So.
Yeah, I haven't been since 2016, and it's one of those things. Look, man, I'm kind of conflicted because I enjoy this lineup. I think that this is a great lineup and it is stacked, but it is not a Coachella lineup. Meaning, look, we've got some diverse headliners, right? We've got Bad Bunny, he deserves it. We've got Blackpink. I'm not sure if they deserve it, but I think they're going to put on a fucking awesome show. And then Frank Ocean, which we'll get into in a minute. I'm not quite sure how he's going to headline a giant festival.
We're going to get into that in a second.
Yeah,
I want to hear your other gripes.
But my other gripe is that there's maybe 15, let's call it 20 rock bands on this lineup, which is generous. Mm-hmm. And even if that's the case at 20, which I think is generous, right? Because I think I counted 10 and there's probably 5 to 10 that I don't know.
Sure.
But even at 20, bro, that's 10% of the lineup is rock. To me, that just seems weird. And I heard a lot of buzz about Golden Voice's other festival that they put on this year and called This Ain't No Picnic, which had a fucking fantastic lineup, but that's in Pasadena. And everybody's kind of saying, well, not everybody, but I've heard some people say, well, if you want rock, just go to that festival instead. It's like, the fuck are you guys talking about? What are you even saying? Why would I want to go to another festival? Coachella is where I went to see just some insane rock bands, man. I mean, fuck, yeah. I saw Motorhead at Coachella.
I've seen Reggie and the Full Effect at Coachella.
I've seen Steely Dan at Coachella. Come on.
So, but you thought specifically that there would be some emo and pop punk acts this year, which really didn't end up being the case. We get a little metal with Knocked Loose, but there's almost no representation of the scene anywhere on this year's lineup. Like, do you think it's safe to say that the festival has just officially gone away from rock music altogether, with the exception of a few token acts on the lineup?
I don't think that it's fair to say that Coachella is going to, in the future, do anything, because I think that even this year having Blackpink on the lineup as a headliner is it's kind of a curveball. I wasn't expecting Blackpink to be a headliner. That's just being me. I definitely think they're going to incorporate a little bit more rock next year, but I really did think. I told you that on the day the lineup was releasing, I think it was Monday, and you were like, do you think Paramore's going to be on the lineup? And I was like, I think so. And I also think that Mom G's is going to be on the lineup. Because honestly, it made a lot of sense with some of the bookings from last year. I mean, shit, They had Pup last year. They in 2020, before COVID canceled it, they had, I'm pretty sure they had confirmed My Chemical Romance, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, shit, man, if they had gotten My Chemical Romance, Blink, and Mom Jeans, that would have been, it honestly would have beaten Bonnaroo's lineup, even with no other addition. But I honestly think that, and I kind of do this in my head every year, right? Who's going to win the lineup wars? And Coachella wins almost every year. But I think Bonnaroo won this year, man, for the first time in like a long time.
Is Glastonbury out yet?
I haven't seen it, but it's possible. But
let's be real. Ultra wins every year. I mean, Jesus. But with that said, like let me not get off the point back to EDM for a second. Speaking on rock, to your point, I was a little less shocked to see Mom Jean's not on the lineup than I was to not see Paramore on the lineup. I don't know if it coincides with the beginning of their tour or them opening for Taylor Swift or whatever the case is, but I would say after Haley's appearance last year during Billie Eilish's set, I thought it was a given. They are one of the biggest bands in the US in terms of pop and rock crossover, not even a scene thing at all anymore.
Right.
Part of me wonders if they just didn't want to sign the radius clause because of an upcoming tour.
I actually think that that's the case now that I'm thinking about it. They're actually playing, Paramore's playing in Palm Desert.
Oh, are they playing the new arena?
Yeah, they're playing the new arena.
Oh, that's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. But I mean, look, dude, I'm looking at I'm fairly old, mind you, but I have Coachella posters hanging up in my house, all framed and nice like. And I'm looking at it, and Underworld's on that lineup, but it's preceded by Iggy and the Stooges, the White Stripes, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, and also the addition of Rolling Loud this year to Los Angeles really, really, like, decimated Coachella's rap. Although we do have some good names on this. We've got Toby and Guikwe, and we've got Saba, which...
No, but you have to dig. You have to dig for hip hop this year, which has not been the case in recent years at all. I mean, I think we were pretty close to Travis Scott becoming a Coachella headliner had not things gone the way they were. Maybe he will in the future, but I think you and I nailed it. We talked about it in our pop albums of the year when we were saying what popular music is now, and it's a lot of Latin pop and K-pop, and that's reflected in this year's lineup.
And I think I also said that in our electronic albums of the year, I think I also said that bass music's out, techno and house are in, and if this lineup is any indication of any sort of popular music, then it's definitely house and techno. So,
dude, Eric Pride's bringing Hollow to Coachella is an incredible thing. I'm almost mad. I'm like so washed that I don't go anymore because I've asked for that specific thing for so long.
I know.
And to top it up, Tale of Us, I think, is playing the same day.
Yep.
And I don't know what show they're bringing, but all they do is big shows. So, yeah, that's going to be awesome. Fucking Chemical Brothers, man. Like, EDM is on top of the world. Rap is in an interesting place. I think it's still one of the most popular genres. I'm surprised to not see it as big this year, but I think you're right. Maybe Rolling Loud finally made a dent in that.
I think they definitely did. And look, man, if I had not already seen the Chemical Brothers 3 times, I would be very sad
I know you'd
about
be
this festival. And there's really 3 artists that I'm super bummed out about. The Chemical Brothers, obviously, Eric Prydz, Hollow, and God damn it, I'm going to miss a Sasha and Digweed set. And the worst part of this is that if it's not in the Mojave, they're not going to stream it live. So I won't be able to watch it from my couch. But I really hope they do it in the Mojave kind of late at night,
I do as well. You and I will be doing Coachella. All right, man. Let's talk about it. You told me you don't understand why Frank Ocean is a headliner. That's one of the few aspects of this lineup that I actually get. Can I please explain to you?
Oh, I've been waiting for it.
He's a unicorn. He does not perform. Even if he ends up performing at another major festival down the road, this is the first time he's performed since 2017. And in 2017, he performed at less than 10 festivals. His last time performing before that was 2014. He's arguably the biggest R&B artist of his era, and whether he's cultivated that through his music or through the scarcity of it, he's reached a place almost no one else has, man. Especially in R&B. He might not be your thing, but to have him performing at your festival for the first time in half a decade is going to be such a huge moment. And there's no way in hell somebody is going on after him. Like, who knows what he's going to play? A lot of people are hoping for new music. That's a possibility. But my guess is that it will mostly be songs off Blonde and Channel Orange, some singles, Novocaine maybe. I don't know. Last time he played Coachella, he opened with a fucking Bob Dylan cover. I'm sure there's going to be some surprises, either in terms of guests or song selection. that people are going to be talking about afterwards. And that is another reason he's the headliner and the one closing this whole festival. They want that mystery to build all weekend long. Do you see where I'm coming from at all?
I totally get that. And that makes a lot of sense now that why he's a headliner. I just think that Sunday night, 10 o'clock rolls around. Who's going to be awake enough to listen to R&B for another hour?
Oh, you have no idea, man. Frank Ocean fans have not had anything to do for a long time. They will be out. Dude, you know the way the festival works. Sunday, everybody's tired. It's actually the perfect Sunday night ender, if you ask me. Like,
if I were going, I'd be on the grass sitting
like
down.
I
You
would
know?
expect zero guests. Like that would be if I'm going, that's my thought going in. Be happy if you get any guests. But like, dude, if he brings Tyler out or something and like there's any odd future type reunion or just anything we can't even fathom yet, it's going to be a moment. It's going to
So
be a moment.
so let me ask you this: do you think he's going to release new music this year?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I absolutely do not because I think he would have released whatever new music he was going to release with Coachella when he was originally supposed to perform it 2 years ago. My thought process behind him waiting a year is the merch. That's
Ah,
going to be such a big part. He restocked Blonde recently on his website. I
I
don't know
did
if you
see
caught
that.
that in the
I did
vinyl
see that.
world.
I
It
did
was
see
a
that.
glimpse. I logged on and was like, oh, nope, gone. Um, but dude, I imagine everything about his stage design and the merch and all of that is curated. I don't think why do people think Super Bowl sets and headline festival sets are ways to debut songs you don't know how to sing along with? That's not what they're for. Like you might get a song leading up to it. If you do, then there you go. But like I don't know, man. Other than when Beyonce and Jay-Z were on tour, and then one night, like the screen was just like the Carters, Everything is Love out now. Like that just doesn't really happen very often. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm obviously hoping for new music. I'm sorry if his fans are mad that I'm not like manifesting that. But like the dude's performing, he's contractually obligated to for 2 weekends. Um, People were still questioning whether or not his name would be on the lineup, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
people are even today on the subreddit talking about is he going to show up? And it's like obviously this dude intends
he's not
to show
fucking,
up, but
oh my God.
he
He's
does
not
have
Erica Badu or Lauren Hill or
he's kind of the Morrissey of R&B though, where it's like if he
don't
doesn't
say
want
that.
to or
Don't say Morrissey. Anybody but fucking Morrissey. Come on. Good
oh
Lord.
god. No, I mean he does have a bad track record where he does, sometimes not show up, but I genuinely believe that he's going to be there. I would be very shocked if he wasn't. All right,
What
we've
if he has
talked
the orange M3 on stage?
we'll see, man. I
Are
honestly, I
you
mean,
gonna watch a set?
yeah, oh, for sure. I'll watch this and I'm going to record it so that you have it
Okay.
forever.
Thank you.
But I have a couple more points on this lineup, and then we
Hit
can
me. Yeah.
move on to our Calvin Harris. What kind of set is he doing?
Um, Pop hits, not disco.
Yeah, I saw him at Coachella 2014, and fuck, dude, it was a banging set, man. It was mostly house. It was mostly, summer kind of summer adjacent stuff,
Yep.
or even like 18-month adjacent stuff. There was very little of anything that you and I nerd out about
I
Calvin
think it'll
Harris.
be that, just a little more funk wave heavy.
2016 was just a bad set, man. I didn't have a good time. I remember leaving to go see. So Sia was on before Calvin Harris, and then I saw that Maceo Plex was about to start at the Yuma, and Adam Bayer
Hmm.
was finishing his set, and I was like, look, I gotta leave Sia, and nobody wanted to come see techno with me, so I was like, I'm going to the Yuma alone, and there was no line. It was just fucking perfect. I went, caught the last 10 minutes of Adam Bayer's set, caught the first 35 minutes of Maceo Plex's set, and I was fucking I was golden. I got back out and Calvin Harris was playing, and I remember being like, this is Calvin Harris. Like
Yeah, man.
this is what he's playing. So we'll see. I'm curious what set he's going to do. And then
I am too.
I think it would be remiss of us to not talk about how much I don't know who Jai Paul is.
I don't know who Jai Paul is either, man. He's you're good. You're gonna have to dig into that story a little more. He's obviously, I think, Pitchfork actually put it best in their like notes and takeaways from the festival when they said like his reclusiveness makes Frank Ocean seem like DJ Khaled. Like the dude's never performed live. He's released like demos and an EP and then occasionally a song or two. He's never officially released an album. I'm gonna dig into it a little more just out of curiosity, but from what I heard, it's cool, but I feel like you definitely have to be in like a certain headspace or like fan of a certain type of music to even approach that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I think you're a big Flume fan, so I think you're probably going to enjoy his music, and I'll probably dig it a little, but
Yeah.
we will see.
He seems like your favorite musician's favorite musician.
Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Exactly, man. Any more points you want to hit?
No, I'm good. What about you?
No, I think we can leave the conversation on Coachella here for now.
Actually, I need to
What?
manifest one thing:
Please.
a new Chemical Brothers album. That's it. We can move on.
I think it's coming, man. We'll pick this back up when we do our Navigating Coachella podcast after the set times drop. Um, all right, man, let's move on to this week's episode. This week, we will be breaking down some of the releases we missed during December while we were doing our Album of the Year series, which I highly recommend checking out if you haven't already. December is typically a dead month in terms of notable releases, but December 2022 gave us a few late album of the year contenders and some interesting singles to get us even more excited for what's to come later on this year. Were you able to keep up with new releases in December, or were you too busy revisiting other albums for our album of the year series?
Honestly, man, December's a fucking blur. So
It really.
I could say yes or no, and I'd probably be right either way.
All right, well, we'll refresh your memory as we go through this list.
Let's do it.
First up, we got the long-awaited Skrillex, Fredigan, and Flodan collaboration, Rumble. Hang it in the Louvre. It's perfect. No notes. Like, I don't know what you want me to say, man. It's great. What's your takeaway?
Killers do indeed be in the jungle, man. This is a fucking banger. And I absolutely love this one. I can't wait for more. I think he's already dropped another single.
He has. So I was going to ask. I know you didn't like Recess. Does this finally have you excited for new Skrillex music?
Oh boy, I'm very excited.
Okay, good.
Well, we will see what the future holds. He's faked me out before, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right, here's one I've wanted to talk about for over a month now. This is RL Grime and Nero's collaboration, Renegade. I've had this one on repeat since you sent it to me, and I think it's time for a new RL Grime album, you know?
Yeah, I think it's time for an RL Grime album and a new Nero album.
Yeah, man. I haven't really been keeping up with RL Grime in like the last 3 or 4 years that much, but it sounds like I should.
Yeah. Yeah, this is obviously a fucking banger. RL kind of hasn't disappointed me yet, and if he has a track that disappoints me, then I haven't heard it. I actually think that this year was the first year that I didn't listen to a Halloween mix from him in like a long time. Did he do one?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna look it
And to
up.
miss that.
I'm gonna
Has
look it
Rez replaced him? As the annual Halloween?
I guess, man.
Shit. Yeah, I would love a new Nero album. They sound great on this. Her voice, I always am drawn to that. I think they sound fantastic, but this collaboration's great. I think based on the artwork, it is for a new RL Grime album.
I still regret not seeing them. They were on the Coachella lineup when they had what is it, Come Reality? Is that the album?
Welcome Reality.
Welcome Reality.
Yeah.
When they on the 2011 tour, and I forget who I was seeing, but it was more important to me, and I regret it. But I did see them in 2014 after they released that follow up album, and it was okay. It was a decent show.
Yeah, that album is one I have to dive into a little more. I kind of missed it, and then I've gone back to the singles, and they sound good, but I don't think I've ever heard it front to back, honestly.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have K5 and Elderbrook, Where I Talk. Another solid release from K5. Their Coliseum show looked incredible. That like drone light show video you sent me looked fucking
So cool.
awesome.
So
And
cool.
we've been hearing a lot of Elderbrook on other people's songs. I think I want to review their upcoming album.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right. What were your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are, how could Coachella snub KX5? I just want them to release the project or whatever it is already. I haven't disliked a single track that they've put out together yet.
I agree. I agree. Um, all right, moving on. We got DJ Hansel. Take a little bit. Straightforward and very fun. And his album Anti Everything drops January 20th. How excited are you for that?
Man, he really did take us Von Deepa on this one, man. This is the most progressive I've heard from him so far, and by far the most minimal. I really loved it, and I'm so stoked for the album now. I was sold before, but this track was like, this track really sold me, man. I'm very excited for it. Should be really
Yeah,
fun.
that's an EDM album of the year sleeper contender for sure.
And the best part about it is that it started as a fucking joke. I love Dylan
It really
Francis.
did. Dylan Francis is stupid and not deep. DJ Hansel saved my life. Um, All right, let's go on. We got Drum Complex, Wanted. We needed some Drum Complex on the playlist, man. I'm happy to hear that he still sounds like Drum Complex.
New year, new techno, bro. This is a fucking banger. Oh man, that rolling synth throughout, the vocal chops, the tempo, the crushing 808 kicks, man. Huge fan of this. When I needed a boost in my workouts this week, I threw this on, and it most definitely delivered.
Of course it did. Speaking of fucking songs that delivered, man. Lastlings, Get What You Want, the Vintage Culture remix. Vintage Culture remixing Lastlings. Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Sign me up twice. This is fucking great. I love
Just
this.
shove it into my throat. Look, man, this song, this remix came on, and I was like, oh wait, I forgot to watch the Vintage Culture Circle set when I discovered it. So I went back, and I'll throw it in the show notes. It's a very good set.
Oh, you should. I need to check that out. I'm becoming a huge Vintage Culture fan. Big fan
Same,
of
man.
everything they put
Same.
out. Next up, we got Macioplex, New World. This is the Solomon extended mix. This remix is some next level shit, man. I loved all the weird little turns that it took.
Oh
I
man,
know it's a remix, but Macioplex and Solomon on the same track is just insane. We need more of this.
it's an Ibiza dream, my man. This is an absolute banger. I cannot believe that Solomon put out a mediocre album last year, man. This track was more of what I expected from him. Although obviously he had, a Macioplex base to work off of. But this is that shit you hear on the yacht outside of a remote island off the coast of Spain at like 9 a.m. You know what I'm saying?
Everything in Ibiza is a dream, Brandon.
None of it's real, man.
All right, next up we got Tin Liquor and Solomon Gray, Choir to the Wild. If you're a Tin Liquor fan, you'll like this, which I do.
Yeah. Oh man, Tin Liquor ending the year strong, dude. This was released on 12/16, but it's been in my rotation since. I loved this. The chord progressions kind of slowly fading into echoes, then receding into harps and strings is just fucking magnificent. What a tune.
They killed it.
What a tune.
Next up, we got one from Deadmau5 and YT Cracker called Anti-Sec. Another year, another We Are Friends compilation is coming up. Decent instrumental. I did not enjoy the vocals on this one, though. Did
Yeah, actually couldn't wrap my head around this one, man. It doesn't really feel like a Deadmau5 track, to be completely honest. The chords are there, and the signature production quality is there, but there's just something that's rubbing me the wrong way about this one, and I
I
don't
agree.
know.
I'm glad you feel the same way. I thought you were going to like it, and I was going to be kind of awkwardly sitting here. But
No,
I'm
in
glad you're
fact,
on the same
you
page.
added this to the playlist, and I didn't because I remember previewing it and being like, "This sucks." And then I listened to it again, and I don't think it sucks, but it's just not what I wanted, or what I
That's funny.
expected.
I typically will add a song even if I'm not liking it on the preview if it's an artist that we don't really hear singles from too often, like Deadmau5. But otherwise, I would not add a song that I'm like, I'm not really feeling this.
Right?
All right, moving on to some hip hop. We got Metro Boomin, or no, wait, R&B. I am sorry, Jesus Christ.
How dare
Metro
you,
Boomin,
sir?
The Weeknd and 21 Savage. This is the Creepin'. I was gonna say remix, but that is the name of the song. It is a remix, kind of a cover of Mario Winans. What is the song? I don't know.
Let me love you.
No, that's Mario. I don't want to know by Mario Winans. I'm sorry, I blinked there for a second. Yeah, The Weeknd doing a cover of that is pretty much everything I could ask for. I thought Metro killed the production on this one. The album is very good. I highly recommend checking it out if you're into his production style at all, but we had a lot to get to this week, so I didn't want to subject you to the whole thing. What did you think of this track, though?
Actually, this was being played like nonstop after its release at work. Like every time there was music on somewhere, I felt
The
like this
album
song
or
was
the
playing.
song?
This song.
Oh, okay.
I really like Metro's production on this, like you said, and both The Weeknd and 21 kind of did a great job paying homage to, in my opinion, one of the better songs, one of the better R&B songs of the early 2000s.
It's so funny that you thought like Mario, just Mario, the R&B artist, because I've talked to like three different people and everybody thinks that he's covering a completely different R&B hit song. It is the 2004 hit "I Don't Want to Know" by Mario Winans.
There it is.
Winans. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. All right, a little more R&B. We got one from Jacquees, Summer Walker, and Black called "Tell Me It's Over." If you really like this song, I recommend checking the album out. But I feel like it's everything I like about the album and Jacquees just boiled down to one easy to listen to song, and it's really good. What did you think of this?
I actually like this one a lot, man. The vocal performances were great, and I think Six Lack did great.
You love calling him that, don't you? You love
It's my favorite thing. It's my
I can
favorite
tell.
thing. It doesn't make any sense, bro. Change your name.
As he says, the checks all cash the same.
Fair.
Doesn't
Super
matter how
fair.
you pronounce it, just spell it right. All right. Do you think his bank really has that, like the six on his
Actually, it might because he probably gets paid to an LLC, so it's probably like 6 lakh Productions or something.
God, I could only dream. All right. Let's go on to some hip hop now. We got Nas and 21 Savage, one mic, one gun. Do you know the story behind this?
I don't. I did.
So,
There's a story.
yeah,
Give it
so
to me.
the reason this came out of nowhere is because in an interview, I believe 21 Savage took a shot at Nas being irrelevant now. And instead of beefing, Nas just hit him up and they squashed it. And they've got in the studio together and was like, don't say that shit about me. Let's make a song together.
That's
I think the
awesome.
song's okay, but what it stands for is much more important. More beef should end this way.
That's actually really cool, man.
Yeah.
21's been having a really good couple of years, and so is Nas. I honestly kind of rolled my eyes a little when I saw that he was on this track with Nas because I don't really put them in the same lane at all. But I left really pleasantly surprised. I liked this one more than I thought I was gonna. So
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you got to sit the youngins down, man. All right. All right, let's move on to some rock. We got a new one from Shower Beers called Drunk with My Friends. Shout out Shower Beers. They are 2 for 2 as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, sir.
They took some chances on the bridge on this one that I don't think a lot of other bands would try, and I think they pulled it off, man. I love it. Can't wait to hear what they do next. What did you think of this one?
Whatever formula these guys found to make catchy as fuck pop punk, I hope they never stop. I loved this, just like I loved the last one, man. This is great.
I think that they're making music that they would want to listen to.
That's the way to do it, man.
That really is. All right, we got a new one from Paramore called The News. I think this is the most raw instrumentation I've heard on a Paramore song since Brand New Eyes. And I really like it, man. I've seen some diverse reactions to this single online, and all of those people are wrong. Uh, I can't wait to hear their new album in full when it drops next month, and I personally hope that there's a lot more songs like this on it. How did you feel about this one?
Everybody's just expecting another Misery Business like it hasn't been like 15 fucking years. This has kind of like a different feel to it. It's darker. I don't think that's the word. Haunting. I don't know. I really liked this one, and it actually got me really excited for their album, man. Haley's voice sounds great on this.
Yeah, she sounds phenomenal. All right, let's move on. We got this one from Haken called The Alphabet of Me. I'm probably making up a genre right now, but is this mellow prog?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
What genre is Hawking? Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, man. I like almost all of it. Plus, the album art for this release is A plus, so thumbs
Yeah.
up.
So this band has been recommended by me to me by people who are fans of prog metal for like a long time, and I listened like a bit in here and there, and nothing really stuck with me. And I think that's because I might have I go through bouts of attention things where I'm like I can't sit down and listen to this right now, and I
Mhm.
just don't think it's ever really clicked for me for Hucken until late last year. It all just kind of clicked. This is the new single from them, and I'm excited. We're actually going to be covering an album of theirs. I really liked this song. The progression, the instrumentation, the vocal performance, all of those things are fantastic. And I liked that sax. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Had a good time. This is great.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Be a fun album to break down. Moving on, we got the Acacia Strain, Untended Graves. I have not listened to them since the Dead Walk in 2006.
You're welcome.
Uh, yeah, I'm happy to hear that they still fucking rip. Good shit, man. I like it.
The Acacia Strain has to be one of the most consistent deathcore bands of like all time. They have just consistently put out quality music since fucking 2002 or something. I remember first hearing them. I was on a MySpace rabbit hole via Suicide Silences and like the Faceless's MySpace pages, and I just fucking loved this. This track is no exception. I wish it was longer. I think it's only like 2.5 minutes.
Fair.
But yeah, man, the bass is just crazy on this song, dude.
Yeah. I know that Acacia Strain hasn't really gone away, but covering them and like Dead to Fall recently really fucking takes me back in my metal days.
Right?
Next up we got Insomnia and Saki Tolis. This is White Christ. Not my thing, but I might like their upcoming album more than I like this song. Tell me what you're enjoying about this.
Yeah, man. So this is another band that I've been like recommended to listen to a number of times. Insomnium. So I finally had a chance to check this band out last year after hearing nothing but good things, and here we are, start of an album rollout. I'm actually pretty stoked, man. I like it. It's mellow death, so melodic death metal. Sakis Tolis, I
Mhm.
think that's how you pronounce his name, is from a band called Rotting Christ, which I've been listening to for a long time. So it was kind of cool to hear his contribution to this track. I really liked it. I think you probably will like their upcoming album.
I'm going into it open-minded.
I know you are. You always do.
I always do. All right, man. Moving on, we got Circle Waves, Living in the Gray. I really like the songwriting on this one a lot. It's kind of giving me some Andrew McMahon vibes, which is some pretty high praise. What are you feeling on this one?
God damn, I loved this band, dude. This is gorgeous. This track is gorgeous.
It's really good.
Kieran sounds really good on this one. I don't know if he like did some vocal training or something, but God, I loved this track.
Drugs.
Sure, all of those things. It doesn't matter. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this one too, man. Um, they have an upcoming album too, right?
I think so, man.
Yeah,
I think
this
2023
week.
is going to be a good year.
We will be covering their new album on next week's episode, so tune in for that.
Hell yeah.
Um, all right, man, let's talk about some Ultar. This is astronomical, wait, astronomical
Astronumeral.
octave chants. Okay. Jesus Lord. Much like you have to be in the right space for right headspace to review R&B, I have to be in the right headspace to review metal like this. It is pure chaos, and trying to pick out what I like about it and what I don't is like trying to find solitude in the eye of a hurricane. Like after multiple attempts throughout the week, I was finally able to get to that headspace and appreciate this one for the madness that it is. Now I just need to figure out how I can harness that clarity to review their upcoming double album next month. So that'll be fun for me. But how are you enjoying this one, man?
Okay. This is some black motherfucking metal.
Yeah.
When we did our rock album of the year podcast, I mentioned that we're seeing a lot of movement and kind of bubbling in the underground, and black metal has been getting a lot of attention lately. The black metal subreddit, for instance, has increased its user base over 37% in just the last year, with great music like this coming from a band with like under 7,000 monthly listeners. Cradle of Filth is going on tour with Devil Driver, and just a growing interest in the genre itself. This is the bubble that I'm talking about. I fucking loved this, and I knew that it was going to take you a few listens to kind of to have it click. And we're gonna cover an album, so be prepared to put yourself into into one of those headspaces again. But I think if you let yourself, you're really gonna like it, because I fucking loved this.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot, but I'm excited to see how it translates to a double album. That sounds like it's going to be pretty fucking epic.
Yeah, super cool, I think. So we'll see.
All right, man. Next up, we got one from Venomous Concept called Timeline. I am not personally a big fan of the vocals on this one, but I thought the guitars on this track were excellent. Tell me how you like this one.
I know you thought the guitars on this track were excellent because it's the guitarist from Napalm Death.
Okay.
With members of the Melvins, Brutal Truth, and Napalm Death, I don't really think we can call this a super group, because none of those bands are like super very popular, but I'd say there's equal parts metal and punk that kind of make this band up, and that guitar solo was sick as fuck. The vocals are a little weird, but I actually really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Is this one that has an album coming out?
Probably. I
We'll see.
again, December's been a blur. The first week and a half of January's been a blur. I hope things start to calm down here soon. I'm sure they will.
Maybe you just need glasses or new glasses. Everything's blurry. All right, let's move on to some EPs.
Shut up.
We got The Sound of Animals Fighting, Ape Shit. Insert your Sound of Animals Fighting releasing new music in 2022 bingo card joke here, because who the hell was expecting this, man?
Literally nobody.
Yeah, I sure was not, but I am very happy to get it. For those who don't know, this band was founded by Rich Balling of RX Bandits and features a rotating door of vocalists and live members. This is as much a jam band as it is a super group. Anthony Green has provided vocals for a few of their songs and returns here for 2 of the 4 tracks on this EP, including the opening title track, Ape Shit, which I cannot stop listening to. It's fucking great. This whole EP is a lot of fun, man. I hope we get more. How did you like this? I've been waiting to hear your opinion on it.
I fucking loved this. It's got this like synth-laden, ethereal indie mixed with like math rock post-hardcore. Man, it works so well. My favorite track, though, as good as Ape Shit is, my favorite track is Sharon Tate, despite everything.
I knew it.
It's a good song, man.
No, it is. It is. You know what? I'm an intro guy, and I'm throw the everything at the wall and see what sticks guy, and Ape Shit is very much one of those songs. Sharon Tate is a fantastic song, too. And I honestly like all of them. I thought Wolf had very good vocals on it. Have you listened to their previous albums?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been a fan of Sound of
the
Everything.
One with Craig Owens and everything. I have one of their albums on vinyl, and it makes people just wildly uncomfortable whenever they put it on.
I'm assuming that one in your Colors vinyl does the same thing.
Yeah, that one's a thermostat, man. It changes the temperature of a room fast. But shout out to them. I'm a big fan. I'm so happy to hear them back. This is fucking awesome. Anthony Green, go to sleep. Like, sleep for like a month, dude. Like,
the man just doesn't stop
working. He put out
working,
a solo
man.
album this year. They reissued the last 2 Circa Survive EPs into an album recently. He put out the fucking LS Dunes album. He put out, oh my God, the guy does not stop
working. He just toured with Seosin.
Yeah. Doesn't stop. Doesn't stop. Hardest working dude in the business, I swear to God. Yeah. All right, we got this new EP from Crosses called Permanent Radiant. This is just high quality industrial rock, man. There's really not a lot to critique about it. I think it loses a little steam near the end, but it's a really fun listen if you're a fan of Crosses or Deftones or just Chino in general. What did you think of it?
Look, man, this EP kind of took me by surprise. I was expecting to like it, but I really love it. The bassy synths.
I thought you were going to say, but I hated it.
Vocals are done really well. I think the atmosphere is like exactly what I like about Crosses. Vivian is a just fantastic track, man.
Those first 2 really just hit different, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah, that's really impressive release. Let's see here. Next up, we got Emotional Oranges, The Juice Volume 3. I don't think this is the best Emotional Oranges EP to date, but I think it has a few of their best songs to date on it. They popped up around 2018 or 19 and have been steadily putting out projects ever since. After releasing this EP, they announced a tour dubbed the End of an Era tour. I'm not sure if that means they're ending the Juice series or if they plan on breaking up afterwards. I hope that's not the case, but if it is, I've really enjoyed what they gave us. Did you like anything on this? I know that this isn't typically your style of R&B.
Honestly, it's exactly what I expected from an Emotional Oranges release. So it's good, it's mellow, it's bouncy at times. I don't really have much more to say about it. It's not bad. It's not my favorite by them.
Yeah,
The End of the Era has to be referring to the Juice series, though.
I
Right?
would
I mean,
hope
they're
so.
not
I
going to
would
break
think
up.
so.
They're,
That's
they,
really early.
yeah, they're just getting started, bro. They're just gathering some steam here.
Let's hope. All right, man. Are you ready to talk about the albums?
I am. I'm ready.
Okay. First up, let's talk about SZA's new album, SOS. Do you mind if I go first on this one?
Oh, please. I've been waiting.
So we already discussed this one a little bit in our R&B Album of the Year episode a few weeks ago. We both loved it and knew it was one of, if not the best R&B album released this year. It was a little hard to say it with confidence at the time since it had only been out for about 2 weeks at that point. Not much more time has passed since then, but I feel like this album has separated itself from the rest of the pack. It's operating on such a high level that few artists are ever able to get to, and I mean that in a few different ways. I feel like a few artists can make a pop R&B album of this scale and scope, but she makes songs that only she can make. Case in point being the second song on the album, Kill Bill, which wasn't released as a single initially, but has gone on to become the runaway fan favorite so far since getting a music video, I think, yesterday. Similar to the way Is There Someone Else became a hit for the weekend after Dawn FM dropped without being a single. Kill Bill is such a simple song on the first listen, but the earworm quality of it has crept in by the time you're done listening to it without even realizing it. And she flexes her rap muscles a little bit on this album with tracks like the intro SOS, the mid album Scorchers Smoking on My X Pack, as well as the outro track that samples ODB, and she doesn't sound out of place or uncomfortable in the slightest, man. This is definitely an artist confident in her abilities and ready to try new things without fear of failure, and that's a very powerful mindset to approach creating art from. Not all of the chances work for me or work for the album, but I appreciate an artist taking a swing even when it's a miss. I'm of course talking about the mid-album pop rock track F2F that features a writing credit from Lizzo on it. It just didn't work for me, but I'd be interested in hearing how others feel about it. The good and the great on this album far outweighs whatever deficiencies I think it has, though. I've never really been a ballads guy, but Blind still stops me in my tracks every time it comes on. So yeah, man, I love this album. It's not perfect, but it's as close as an album cut has come in the genre to being perfect in a long time, possibly since her last album. People just need to enjoy this era while it lasts, though, man. She will be on the Frank Ocean release schedule from here on out. She's going on tour with this album, and she's going to go away for a while. And I don't blame her because I'm sure it felt like she was working her ass off for years to even get this album out. And now that it's here, we just need to all appreciate it instead of asking her what's next. So, what's next doesn't matter. She just gave us all a classic. Enjoy it. I'm giving this album a 9. My standout is Kill Bill. How are you feeling about it, buddy?
So I think you said all of the things. It made both of our album of the year list and had really only been out for a week or so, which I think is pretty neat and it really does. I think it made a lot of other album of the year lists as well, which really does speak to how good it is. She clearly still has it. Lyrical density, top notch production. Those things obviously really help. The opening track though, SOS, kind of made me double take that I was listening to SZA. I think that SOS is really bad. Other than that, each of these tracks are choice. Kill Bill, Low, Ghost in the Machine with You Know My Girl Phoebe, Used are all fantastic and clearly some of the best R&B tracks of the year. There aren't really any other tracks besides SOS that I skip that on subsequent listens, man. I listened to this album again today, and it's not a short album, but I absolutely love a lot of it. I love the ODB feature as well, and man, she really killed this one. My standout is also Kill Bill. I give it an 8.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm surprised. I feel like over time you're gonna bump this one up to a 9. I am awaiting the text.
It's possible. It's possible, man.
I'm joking. I'm glad we're relatively in the same realm, and I'm glad you enjoyed it nearly as much as I did.
Yeah, I did. It's a good album.
All right, man. Let's talk about this Little Simz album, No Thank You. This is another album that we briefly talked about in one of our Album of the Year episodes.
Yep.
It's lyrically dense. She doesn't waste a bar. Production is typically different than you hear on a lot of hip hop albums nowadays, but she matches each beat perfectly, man. And after hearing this, I went back and listened to her other albums, and I think I'm done sleeping on her as an artist because I think she's one of the better ones doing it today. In terms of this album, though, it's a no skips for me, but it's not quite a 5-star album. She's not far off, though. I'm giving this one an 8. My standout is No Mercy. How are you feeling about this one?
Nice. No Mercy is a great track.
Got some bounce to it. I like it.
So I actually listened to her album last year. Sometimes I might be an introvert. It was getting some buzz online, and I ended up listening to it.
We reviewed a song from it.
Right. I was pretty impressed then, and I'm really impressed now. This album is great, and it's clear that Little Simz has an incredible flow and is one of the better rappers out there right now regarding lyrical density, flow, and just overall project quality. I especially like the production on this record. It's old school, yet modern. It was clearly made with a lot of love and her flow specifically in mind. I love intentional shit. You can always tell when rappers just kind of buy a beat. This is not that. This is nowhere even near that. And one of the many things that sets her apart from other artists. I love the bass line on Gorilla rather. The choral vocals behind her bars on X are fucking neat. I really liked this album, and I'll probably be bumping this shit all year, man. Gave it an 8. Also, my standout is Heart on Fire.
Dude, fuck yeah. Heart on Fire is a great song. I really enjoyed that track. All right. Next up, we got Absol's new album, Herbert. Talk to me about this one.
All right. I was actually going to ask to go first, so thanks, man. All right. So this is the next TDE lyricist, man. I actually think a lot of this is really corny. I'll admit that I have very limited knowledge of Absol's music, but I had heard online that he was a great lyricist and that this album was more than likely going to be really good. Look, man, the one thing about this album is that the production is fucking great. The majority of the tracks have really great beats, and every time I went back to it, it was because of the production. But I'm just going to trash the album from here on out, man. The lyricism, on the other hand, is just so corny. I cringe. There's a part on every song that I just cringe on, man. And it's almost like an involuntary, like, physical reaction.
He can't. The old head in him. He just he gets these fucking schemes in his head that he's like, I gotta do this one, and whatever that C student one is pissed me off so fucking much.
Bro, what fucking millennial doesn't know what dial-up is? What are you talking about, Absol? Look, man, when he describes his penis and then he attempts to describe what he's doing to some poor woman's uterus, and my personal favorite, when he has a runny nose and doesn't even have a cold. If you know, you know. Everybody knows. You can just say that you do cocaine, bro. Gangnam is so slowed down. It sounds super fucking weird. I think we reviewed that one as a single, and I remember it just being like, this sounds fucking weird, man. I actually really wanted to enjoy this album, but it seemed like every time he was getting into a flow, he just decided to drop a bar that was just unnecessary and ruined it for me. I'm gonna give it a 3 because the production is pretty good on this one, and some of the features are pretty neat. I like Joey Badass's feature, which is why Moon Shooter is my standout. And that's what I got for you, brother. How did you feel about this Absol project?
Almost the exact same, but way different score. I got this one in like a 6 to 7 range. I think it's a good album. I just think that the old head of just keeps getting in the way of making it a great album. Like every great song on it has at least one liner scheme that just makes me want to roll my fucking eyes. But like that aside, it's as lyrically as dense as you'd expect for his first album in 7 years. But for such a wide gap in his discography, there's no growth. And I feel like up until now, every album he's released had been better than the last. This is the first one of his to where he's either plateaued or declined. I still personally like it a little bit, man. I liked the last Division album, which, so take my taste for what it is. But I think that the intro track, much like the intro track to his last album, is him at his very best. I'll revisit this one down the road and see how I feel about it, but I think it's a solid album. It's got moments on it. It's just not sustained at a high level throughout, which is a little disappointing. Message in a Bottle is my standout, and yeah, probably a 6 or 7 for me on this one.
Cool, man.
Um, all right. Do you think some of the up and coming TDE people have passed the like core by?
Probably.
Like
I honestly, man, I really tried to like that album. It wasn't for me. So it's what it is.
it is what it is, man. Let's talk about something that is for you. We got Gareth Emery's new album, Analog. So the last Gareth Emery album I remember listening to is Drive, which came out in like 2014 and should
Yeah.
show how out of the loop I've been on him in the recent years. I saw a fucking recommendation on YouTube for a live show he did recently called Laser City 2 and hit play, obviously. And apparently, in the time since I've stopped listening to him, he's become the fucking king of lasers, putting on shows that would make fucking Roger Waters cry, you know? Like let's let's throw that link in the set, that link to the set in our show notes because it's definitely one of the most amazing things I've seen, and I think people should check it out if they have the
Most
chance.
definitely.
Um, Going through his discography, though, I noticed he dropped an album called The Lasers back in 2020. So maybe this has been like an aesthetic he's been working on for a few years now. But this is the first I'm seeing it. But when I was going back through his discography, I also noticed that he had just released a new album called Analog. So I figured I had to throw it on out of curiosity. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the album itself? I'll let you go first before I get into my actual thoughts on it.
Trance Nation. Look, man, I don't really have much to say about this album besides the fact that it feels kind of like generic poppy EDM. I liked it. It's honestly great background music. It's not my favorite, nowhere near my favorite from him, but I did enjoy this album. It's just kind of pretty generic, man. I did watch that
Yeah.
set that you sent me, and he doesn't play this style of music. But Love You for All Time is a great track, man. I really liked this one. I love that he uses Annabelle as a vocalist because she has a great voice. I'm going to give it a solid 5.
Hey, that's fair, man. See, I think it still sounds like the same Gareth Emery I remember. His incredible skills on the piano are on display throughout this album, and
Yeah,
it's really
true.
the layer that holds it all together for me. He's definitely leaning more into the pop direction now than the trance direction, but fans of his old stuff should still find something to enjoy on this album if they've been out of the loop as long as we have. I don't think it's on the same level as Northern Lights. I don't even think it's in the same class. But that's a seminal turn of the decade trance classic. He doesn't need to top that album for this album to be good.
No.
Much like the Absol album, I think that this is pretty good for what it is. I'll keep paying attention to him. I got this in the 6 range as well. My standout is Breathe.
Nice.
All right, man. You threw this last album we're going to be covering on here. This is Fireworks album, Higher Lonely Power. I believe it dropped January 1st, so this is technically our first new album review of the year. I'll let you take it away.
I honestly don't have too much to say, to be completely honest with you. I saw a little bit of buzz about it. I'd never heard of this band, so I decided to throw a couple of the tracks on and to listen to, and I liked them, so I figured we would cover them. I do like this album. There are some really cool kind of like atmospheric moments, which is honestly not something you get with a lot of emo pop punk. I'm not mad at that a little bit. There are some strings, there's emotion, there's Jesus. What's not to like? I really enjoyed this. I'll go. I'm gonna go back through their catalog and I'm gonna listen to other music, to their other music, like front to back albums and whatnot. My standout was the opener, God Approved Insurance Plan. I gave it a 6.5 ish. I actually expected to like it a little more than I did with all the hype that was surrounding it. But, it is what it is. What did you think about this one?
I don't like it.
All right.
I think at its best, it's kind of reminiscent of Death Cab, and at its worst, it sounds like what I imagine the Killers would sound like if they tried to be a scene band. I'm a fan of pop rock. This ain't doing it for me. Way
Fair.
too much religious imagery in the lyrics, honestly. Which is a shame. The intro was really good and is also my standout. Look, there's a movie from the 80s called Bachelor Party starring Tom Hanks. And in that movie, his friends and him are going to watch an old porn movie that's on like a physical film reel at his bachelor party.
As one does.
His fiance finds it before the party and cuts the sex scenes out. So when they're watching it, it's everything like leading up to the scenes and then right after. And one of the people at the bachelor party says, so they put it on, the thing happens, and one of the people says, I usually don't like my filth this clean. And that's just the way I feel about this band, man. I'm giving this a 4. My standout is the intro track.
My brother, that was the best review of an album I think I've ever heard.
It's all I could think of to try and explain how I felt.
Oh, man, that was fucking great. Well, I'm glad that I threw this on here, even though you didn't like it, because I got that out of you, so.
Yeah, it's always worth it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's talk about what we're excited for. Let's talk about our release calendar, and then we can peace out.
Yeah. So next week we're going to have a rock heavy week. We'll be breaking down the new Anti-Flag album as well as the new Ahab, Circle Waves, and Obituary albums.
Oh, this is a week I'm gonna like.
Yeah, this is going to be a very Brandon friendly week. I'm excited to get into this too. Just get what is rock music in 2023 started. Start having that conversation with you.
Starting off real heavy and slow with some Ahab.
Yeah, seriously. We're also going to get some new singles, though. Paramore's dropping a new one. I believe Rez is, SG Lewis, Tennis. Man, I'm really becoming a big Tennis fan. I've been diving into their discography this week.
Oh, boy, that's a fun dive.
It is a very fun dive. Really fun to drive to. And we'll be breaking down that other new Skrillex song and much, much more. Be sure to follow along with our weekly rotating playlist to keep up with everything we'll be covering from week to week. The link is in the show notes. If you're following along on YouTube, give this video a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We will see you all again next week.
Later.
Peace.